Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
At first, we hit your gadgets with our state-of-the-art digitalized mobile studio with the debate on the road behind the wheels. Later, we launched our magnificent studios located on Plot 1A, Sawagude Close, Lukulinanganda, Machindye, Kampala, where we bring to you our must-watch shows like The Mighty Drive, Monday to Friday, 8 a.m., Hotline, Mondays, 7 p.m. As for legal matters, Twins at Bar, Tuesdays, 11 a.m. Wednesdays, 6 p.m. is Afro-Caribbean Link, where we connect Africa with the Caribbean. Voltage on Thursdays, 7 p.m. featuring a youthful panel. Interface with Dr. Kizza Besigye every Friday, 12 p.m. with his call to action against injustices. Snap Talk, Saturdays, 6 p.m. with the trio. A must-watch, The Political Dice, Sundays, 8 p.m. with the duo that never stammers, and so much more. Watch us live on all our social media platforms. We are the Alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Good afternoon, Uganda. It is a Friday, the 8th day of November. The year is 2024. The Interface Show returns right here on Digitalk TV. And as you well know, it happens every particular Friday, starting from 12 to 2 p.m. We are always honored and privileged to be having retired Colonel Dr. Kizza Besigye. He's always here with us, and we're always touching base on some of the issues that are happening in Uganda, but also across the globe. And I always share this sentiment that we do not have these conversations to only ridicule or scorn, or only talk about the bad. I was hearing one gentleman, who I won't mention the name, giving us that feedback, saying, why is it that you're always talking about the negative parts in Uganda? Isn't there anything that is working in this country? And yes, there are many things that are working, but the reason why we emphasize on the things that may not be working very well is to try to shape the country, to make it better, not to blame. We are not looking for blame, no. We are actually fostering a conversation that we believe is going to make this country a better place, not only for only us here, but for the generations that are yet to come. Many of us forget that Uganda has been here for a very long time, and it's not going anywhere. We are the ones who outlive Uganda, but Uganda will always and shall always stay with us. But of course, it is always very, very good that you send us this feedback. That always also encourages us to know that you enjoy what we do, but you're also watching the various shows that we have here. We have the Mighty Drive, the Hotline, the Interface that you're watching, the Voltage Show, Snap Talk, Twins at Bar, the Health Hub. All those shows are here for your learning. So we thank you so much that you're tuning in. It has been an eventful week in this part of the world, Uganda. The Parliament has passed the controversial Coffee Amendment Bill. Now it's already an act of Parliament that is waiting for the President to assent to it, to confirm it into law. Now this particular law seeks to dissolve the Uganda Coffee Development Authority, UCDA, and transfer all its functions to the Ministry of Agriculture. People are forgetting that the UNRA as well has been merged. Now the responsibilities of the Uganda National Roads Authority have been merged with the Ministry of Works and Transport. Now this comes after a rationalization policy of most of the government agencies into the ministry. The President says that this is going to help in reducing the budget's framework and of course saving money for the country. We will be delving into that conversation, and of course the reaction of Mr. Museveni himself after this bill was passed. He seems to suggest that it's not only coffee, and coffee is not a big a deal for Ugandans to be emphasizing or putting a lot of emphasis on it. We'll be talking about that. And of course, in the global politics of the world, United States yet again receives another president. Donald Trump bounces back in a historical comeback as President of the United States of America. After winning the majority vote and, of course, sweeping the Electoral College as well, Donald Trump is now the 47th President of the United States of America. Many of you ask yourself, why do we always emphasize what is happening in the US? US is the world superpower and the wealthiest country in the face of the earth. And of course, they have a lot of things they do in the global politics. They fund a lot of the money in your budget. And of course, this directly affects you. And they don't only do it in Uganda, but across the globe. So that's why it's always important to monitor what is happening in that part of the world and also trying to relate it to us as a country. So please continue sending in those messages, comments. There's a gentleman called Carl Marshall, you're already live. Thank you so much for tuning in. And everybody who's watching the interface, if you have any questions, if you have any responses, anything that you want us to know, please send it through Digitalk TV Facebook page, but also the Alternative Uganda Facebook page, and also Dr. Kizza Besigye's Facebook page. We're streaming on all those platforms. And remember, we're also on YouTube as well, the same platforms at the Alternative Uganda and at Digitalk TV. My name is Edgar Matthew Karuhanga, and on behalf of Digitalk TV, I'm always here to ask Doctor a few questions. Without any further ado, allow me welcome the doctor himself. Sir, you're most welcome to the interface.
Thank you very much, Edgar, and always a pleasure to be on the interface. A very good afternoon to all of you who are tuned into this program today.
Yes, sir.
And I hope that you've had a good week. Condolences to those who have lost dear ones, who have had terrible situations of accidents, which are all over our country, terrible accidents that we witness on a daily basis. Those who have sick ones and all other challenges that we always grapple with in our various places, my sympathy. And certainly those who have had good events to celebrate this or that, I join you in your celebration. Yeah, as Edgar has said, it has certainly been an eventful week, which I think in respect of our country is should be a week to commiserate because the events that you talk about rather casually that happened in our parliament,
yes, sir,
I think are really ominous. Because, you know, I think Parliament has been weakened in the way it is perceived in our country, that maybe indeed advises the way you refer to what happened this week. But Parliament is the embodiment of the people of Uganda.
You're entering into the topic, and I wanted you to first highlight on one of the issues of our viewers who says that we are always negative in this program, and generally as digital.
You see, that is a pushback from people who feel uncomfortable about criticism. It is criticism, it is opposition, even in any form of life. Even in your own life, it is challenges that propel you to grow. It is not what is going well with you that propels you to grow. It is the challenges you meet. And, you know, the governments have elaborate arrangements to highlight what they do that is good. They have fully well-paid publicists, public relation people. In our case, we have a whole media center that focuses on nothing but project what government is doing. So our work here is not to complement government in that role of self-praise. It is to see what is not going well for us, and which indeed the country needs to focus on so that it goes well.
Oh, yours meaning that you don't acknowledge the good, you only try to highlight the bad, which is your job, yes, as the opposition.
Yes.
But there are things that should be working that maybe you can also give credit to.
Yeah, I could, but that is, you see, I've already told you that I already pay people to do that. They are people paid whose job is nothing but to do that. So why should I spend, or anybody, you know, frankly,
Yes, sir.
paying his money to get data to listen to me? Why should they spend time to know whether in the terrible things that are going on there is something good happening? You know, why should they pay money for that?
Okay.
And you know, even I don't share your view that we shouldn't blame. I think blaming is part of correcting what is wrong. Unless something is blameworthy, it won't be you know, rectified.
Okay.
So even assigning blame, I mean, and it's, you know, when you are talking about people who abuse rights, who violate people's rights, who torture, who do all kinds of terrible things, you know, it's not necessary to just talk about the broad thing, but even to point at who is actually culpable and who should be held responsible for this corruption. Yes, there is corruption everywhere, but there must be somebody taking responsibility, whom we pay to stop that corruption, and who doesn't.
Yeah,
who takes our money and doesn't.
So it's not wrong to say that you took people's money.
Absolutely, it's important.
Okay.
So, and that's what we'll check people, because they'll say, you know, I may be, you know, caught and so deterrence, blaming is part of deterrence. And the criminals have developed such a huge capacity to make people shy away from blaming them. Say, you know, you are always blaming.
You are the messages.
Yeah. No. It is legitimate.
Okay.
It is right to blame people who do wrong, people who you know, abuse the trust we put in them. It is right to blame them so that others can learn that it is wrong to do what they did.
Okay.
Now, having said that, as I was saying, you know, what we write in law is not idle. When we say that a country has the supreme law, that is quite something, that this must be revered by everybody. That's the intention, that this is how we shall relate with each other in this country, and this is what we have provided for ourselves.
A code of conduct.
Yes, it's the supreme law.
Yes.
That
governs the land.
Yes. And we have said in this supreme law that all power within the boundaries of Uganda belong to the people of Uganda.
Exactly.
All power belong to the people.
Article 1.
And we have also said that they will exercise it in accordance with the Constitution.
Yes.
And the Constitution provides how they exercise it through representatives.
Yes, sir.
Or through referenda. the constitution is again very clear. It will be either through representatives, which is through regular, free, and fair elections of representatives, or through a referenda in which we make the decision directly ourselves.
Yes, sir.
So that makes Parliament the repository of all our power. That's where it is
Embodied.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So it's the supreme organ of the state.
Above the executive and the judiciary.
It is, yes, it is the supreme, because that's where all power belongs, and that's why it has oversight over all others.
Exactly.
You know? So for one to see what was happening in the Parliament, which is not happening for the first time,
Yes.
it's not something to treat casually. You know, if you desecrate that institution, it means literally that you have desecrated the Constitution. You have attacked the Constitution. You have attacked the people of Uganda. And, you know, this was, as I have said, happening for not the first time, that you have journalists who are what unites what is going on with our representatives and ourselves, because that's the reason Parliament must be open, or courts must be open, is because that they are acting on our behalf, and we need continuous interface with them to know what they are doing on our behalf. And this is brought to us by journalists. So to find that journalists get, you know, arrested, detained within the House of Parliament, and denied, and we are denied of that, you know, information supply from the journalists, that you have, you know, members of Parliament violently ejected by people who are not, you know, within the knowledge of the members themselves.
And I thought that was a safe space.
Yes,
As
yes.
Parliament,
This is what I'm
a
saying.
member of Parliament
Yeah.
is allowed to speak.
Yeah,
anything.
inside the chambers.
they are
This is
always
not
free.
even outside the chamber. That's why they say that house is a privileged house. You can even say something that breaks the law, you won't be charged.
Yes.
You know? So for all these terrible things to happen, and as I have said, not for the first time,
Exactly.
every Ugandan needs to be worried. Because then what makes us a country? If we cannot, through our representatives, you know, express what the people want. You see? And I'm not saying that, you know, Parliament cannot decide something that maybe even the people don't like, because they are not delegates. Delegates are different. Delegates carry what people have already decided and they take it. These ones are a representation.
Yes.
They are supposed to be a reflection of what we think. So individually, somebody who represents you may not be a typical, his views may be a minority of what those he or she represents may. So you can have situations where Parliament makes unpopular decisions. But there are methods in which those then are corrected. But when you have a Parliament that and what has happened, you know, that Parliament went and made a decision. Then one man who is supposed to implement it, who is the executive, says, no, I don't like what you have decided. You know, I will not tolerate that. You know, you people, you are opportunists. You calls them names. And
he called them criminals.
yes, even criminals, even what, you know, and come and meet me. You come. They load them in buses and take them to him, and they come back, and then we see what happened yesterday. It means simply that we have no constitution, we have no institutions, we have formally the rule of that one man. And even, you know, his missives, his utterances have been so spiteful of the people of Uganda.
Let's first look at the reason why it happened in Parliament, because there was a bit of violence that brought about the reaction of the security operatives, or people that we don't know yet, who took out these members of Parliament. Yeah, comment on this violence of these MPs themselves, the way they act. For example, two legislators fighting over a seat and flexing and boxing themselves. Don't you think it was called for? Someone planned it so that it can come out like that, so that they can be violated, and it will end the way it ended?
Well, I hear all kinds of conspiracy theories. I have no way of being in the people's minds.
According to your analysis of what you saw.
You know, you see, I am trying to be an interrogator of the events using what is known, not what is, because how I interpret what happened, you know, is subjective. I can't attach evidence of, you know, to say, you know, that maybe this fellow Akor who came and sat in Zake's seat and provoked the situation that you know, that he was deployed, as I have been hearing. Whether he was deployed to do that, whether he wasn't deployed, is not the issue. Certainly everybody has commented about the terrible decline of the quality of members in that house. And it's part of why indeed Parliament is abused the way it is abused, without the capacity to protect itself and the people that it represents, you know. Ordinarily, you know, if they were members of Parliament worth the name, Mr. Museveni would not treat them the way he does. He has a lot of contempt for them, and if you ask me, in a large measure, justifiably, I think they are contemptible. The greatest majority of them are contemptible. You know, the quality of the, but again, it has been a deliberate effort to make Parliament what it is, that members of Parliament are what they are today.
And just to add, both are opposition.
Doesn't matter. I have tried many times to disabuse you of those notions of opposition and government. They don't make any sense. And in fact, what happened in Parliament should confirm that there is no opposition or government. There are people who are captured and they are captors. That is the situation. They are all captives of Mr. Museveni. And, you know, they use them as they want. A few people who are struggling, you know, there to make sense as legislators, extremely few who are not yet captured. But it's a captured house.
Okay.
But for me, I am talking to Ugandans about the danger of having a situation like that, where you have no parliament, or where your parliament can be, you know, used and abused the way we see. Because then, what do we do? And indeed, the people whom I must salute, who tried to resist that abuse, who walked out of that parliament when it continued to do and behave as it did, those who walked out, at least they detached themselves from that nonsense.
And many believe that's not the solution.
No, wait.
But continue.
Wait.
Yes,
So, at least those who remained after all what had gone on
yes, sir.
are accomplices. Those are
So they did the Porteous pilot.
yes, they are
You pass your things, but for us, we are not part of it.
So no. The ones who stayed in the house, and indeed, especially those who should have been out, because you see, there are people who are the NRM.
Yes, sir.
Those come to parliament when they are already captives, because they are brought in the manner that we have discussed here many times by their captor, and he has said, you know, even if you go and sleep, and even if you, as long as you wake up, and so those, we don't spend time debating about them.
Yes, sir.
But those who come putting on the clothes of checking those, you know, who are supposed to be opposition,
Yes, sir.
the DP members, the FDC members, the you know, maybe independents are neither here nor there, but JMA, you know, those types of people who are supposed to check these captives. So yesterday there was a very good line drawn. I think those who have declared themselves captives remained in the house. And indeed, I saw the speaker thanking them for doing so. You know, he thanked, specifically thanked Abudu Katuntu, Nathan Nandala Mafabi, Asumani Basarirwa. Thank them.
You're hearing the names that you're mentioning? Those are names, the big names, really, the names in opposition.
Yes. So he was thanking them for becoming accomplices to what they had done. And that, so that settles a bit of where the line is drawn. Others protested and walked out. Now, I have more in these ones, the captives. You know, those are finished. I have. The question is how we free them, because those are now victims of capture. There is nothing they can do. They will simply keep on rotating in their prison. But the ones who walked out have a greater responsibility. I hope they have not walked out and when the house opens, they just walk back into that stage. I hope that they will deliberate on what next.
But Doctor, these are in Parliament. It's an issue of numbers. So even if they had the best will to go and change things,
but
how
you
can they do it?
But you see, as
With the
I have
small
told
numbers
you,
they have?
Parliament is a representation.
Yes, sir.
So the real Parliament is there. The population is there. The one which sends all these people that are captured is there. And I think this is a defining moment where, because you have seen the voices of the people regarding what they were doing there. You know, just as happened before concerning the changing of the constitution, you know, and people shout, people, you know, are saying, no, don't change our constitution. You know, like Toji Kwatako, people really shouted Toji Kwatako, but it went and people went back and business started as usual. It should not be business as usual again, you know, that, you know, people can treat our supreme organ in that way and you become an accomplice to it and life continues. Because if it continues that way, then I guess we'll have a legitimate role, those of us who are not in Parliament, whom they are supposed to be representing, to denounce all of them and to mobilize to do something
First
about
of all,
it.
Doctor, let me bring in a negative perspective. Why is it the voices you call the legitimate voices are always voices that are supporting a certain plea or what you believe in? For example, they could be the same voices that said yes to the Toji Kwatako, because these are more members of Parliament, and that means they're bringing the representation from their country. Same as this particular bill that has been passed. Many of people are saying people don't want the coffee bill, but it seems like their legislators, who they represent, want this particular bill. For example, there is a bill that was seeking to bring a new leader of opposition from any political opposition party. The same people refused, even the NRM political players or MPs, they refused to assent to this to pass this particular bill. So why is it that when it does not favor the opposition, which you have refused me to call, but when it does not?
No, you see, this has nothing to do with the opposition. That same Parliament rejected the bill. Or you have forgotten. The same Parliament rejected the bill.
The coffee amendment bill.
Yes. So it is simply because...
And the same Parliament has accepted the bill.
Yes, so after doing what?
After understanding the merits that it has. Yeah, that it's a better bill after sitting down
because
to really
you see,
because these people are mature adults,
I hope you are familiar
yes, sir,
with the legislative process. The introduction of the bill.
Exactly.
The committee, the bill is sent to the committee and the government, you know, explains, you know, and then comes to the whole house and the government explains. So if there was any information to be given, it could not be that Parliament rejected the bill without any information. And if there is, was there new information that came that you have had? Is there any new information which was not available to the House that rejected it, that became available to the House that passed it? Absolutely nothing. The only new thing is that the captor, the one who holds the House, who captive, took them to his home, itself.
That was Friday last week.
Yes,
I remember.
you know, itself
a caucus.
Yes, itself another, you know, matter that should be
interrogated.
Not only interrogated, it should be challenged. You know that, you know, the executive summons the caucus. I'm not saying that a president cannot interact with members of parliament, but the interaction, because these members are supposed to be an oversight to what he's doing. That's why, you know, there are separation of powers. Separation of powers is a cardinal principle of democratic governance.
I hear you.
So, you know, even if you are an MP of NRM, and this one is the president of NRM, you, the NRM MP, has an oversight role over this president of your party.
And he's still the chairperson of his party also.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
So
he
that's
may
why
be, he may be. So what I'm saying, you see, and that's why if he's in office, there should be other ways in which the parliament interacts with their party, not the person you are overseeing summoning you and making you change your decision without any new information. Because let them tell the country what new information made them change. Let them tell the country what is the new information that was not there before. So this is why I'm saying that, you know, it's not a matter of opposition or government, no. It's simply a matter of betrayal of the people over what they are supposed to do. You see,
True.
this is a matter of coffee. Have you had any coffee growing area that supports what they did?
I have not had.
So whom are they acting on behalf? This is the whole question I'm asking.
And he's also
It's not about saying, you know, that they have numbers, yes, they have numbers they are abusing.
Yeah, which is
Which
wrong.
is again, absolutely, that's the point I'm making, and which I'm saying, you know, that those who moved out, therefore, have legitimate ground. It's not numbers, it's the legitimacy. You see? Mr. Museveni should know that more than anybody else, that he went to the bush with the 20 people.
Yes.
Was that the majority?
No, it was legitimate.
So it's not the numbers, it's what you represent. The numbers that remained in parliament represent the mafia. Absolutely. They don't represent the people of Uganda. It's a representation of the mafia that captured Uganda. And that's why those who moved out, I must challenge them that, you know, it will be wrong to just move back and continue to function with the mafia as if nothing has happened. There must be, and the people are bewildered. They are there who were wondering why, you know, they wanted to do this. So can they rally the people to assert their will? Because that's the whole idea of representation. Let them rally people to assert the will of the people. And so, as I have said, what happened is a very, very critical, you know, milestone on how politics should be managed here. We saw the attack of the courts.
Yeah, well, that's where I was going to come.
Twice.
Because it also happened, yes.
Yes, we saw the attack of the courts. To their credit, when the court was attacked the second time, they protested. The judicial officers all over the country laid down their tools and demanded an apology and, you know, and had some process before they went back to their benches. Of course, a lot has happened now since then to weaken the judiciary much further. we are seeing what is happening with the parliament. So it's a critical moment that all, critically thinking people in our country must take stock of and consider what the consequences of all this are. And to my mind, this is something that should not just be left to sleep by as if things are normal.
And it will be left to sleep by, because that has been the culture here. Journalists have been beaten, tortured, we left it.
Yes,
to
and
sleep.
I'm saying if
the Parliament in 2017 it happened, we let it happen. And it always fizzles out, for lack of a better word.
With consequences, because that's why we are where we are. I have been, or maybe you don't know where we are, that parliament that is causing all that commotion must pay its own salaries from borrowed money. That's
you
what.
Bring back that.
Yes, which is a fact.
Yes.
Which is a fact that, that's where we are. That we have students starving to death in universities who are supposed to be paid for by government. That's where we are. There are consequences that we are in a town that will soon drown people.
That is true. The floods, every time it rains.
Yes. There are consequences. You let it slip by, it will not just slip. There are consequences. That we have healthcare system or institutions that are a death trap. You go there to die. There are consequences. And those MPs will continue to pay themselves, to engorge themselves with all kinds of things, and people will start failing to get their own salaries. So there are consequences. And before those consequences become too burdening for us to even react to them. This is why I'm saying that.
Aren't we already at that point you're talking about?
This is why I'm saying that I don't consider so, but we can easily get to a point where we have no more capacity to do anything. I think we still have capacity, and that's why I am talking to all of you out there to say that we shouldn't let what has happened continue just to slip by. That, Mr. Museveni will do what he wants and get away with it, whether people want it or not. He determines what he wants. Because I was telling I was telling other people that the meeting where it took place to make this decision in Rwachitura, in Kisozi.
The rationalization decision generally, or the coffee itself?
The coffee thing.
Okay.
The summoning of the MPs to Kisozi.
Exactly.
Is something that the country should also be seized with, because that Kisozi, and when he took them, of course, they spent the day being treated to a tour
of how people are building wealth for themselves.
Yes, for his own farm, what he's doing, how many herds.
He said generally also the people around
and
him.
how they look, and and so on. I said, this, all this wealth he has accumulated here.
Yes, please, sir.
Should be put in perspective, because I have pointed out that when he bought that land of Kisozi, at the same time, he bought it from the same person, Mr. Kiwanuka, who sold the rest of his ranch to the army, to NRA that time, which became UPDF later. Bought 26, it was 26 square miles.
Wow.
So Mr. Museveni bought off 4 and the other 22 went to the army. The army had, on the army land which he bought from Chiwanuka, about 8,000 cows were on the ranch.
By that time.
Chisozi Ranch, yes. It was called Chisozi Ranchers. He had 8,000 cows.
We are listening.
And I think the payment was about 800 million shillings. Immediately after the conversion of the currency,
Okay.
800 million was a lot of money, and he built Chisozi house there and other things, I think. So he is in charge of his ranch, which he has expanded, I think. I think it's now bigger than 4 miles.
4 miles is already big.
But he borders the army
Land.
the ranch, which had 8,000 cows. He had 0 cows when he bought
The land.
his land. Here there were 8,000 cows. He has been praising the army as an example of what a disciplined group that is doing everything, making roads, construction, you know. I haven't seen
Even in coffee.
I haven't seen him take these MPs to see what the army ranch is looking like and what has happened to these 8,000 cows.
What happened?
Now, he is the one with the thousands of cows that look well and so on. Yet he's in charge of both the army and you know, the point I am making is to show how his mind is about his private well-being, private wealth, private well-being at the expense of the common good, public good. And that's what translates. I'm saying, you know, the fact that the meeting to decide the coffee was in that in that context.
Yes.
Shows you even what he wills for the coffee to what he wills to happen to the coffee.
He also mentioned that people are saying Museveni wants to take the coffee. Where is he going to take the coffee? This coffee belongs to Ugandans.
Of course it belongs to Ugandans. The question is who benefits from it. Because, again, the people had built capacity to benefit from the coffee, not just to grow, dry, and sell, but even to process and market. People had the capacity to benefit in the whole chain.
Oh, okay.
That is what has been forwarded back and taken over. And now, I, for the record,
Yes, sir.
I am not one of those excited about UCDA. So even if it is the center of controversy, I am not one of those who thinks that if it remains or if it goes, it makes a big difference either way. I am not.
So your contention is not on that?
No. Whether UCDA is also Museveni's UCDA. He will use it as he wants.
That's where I was going to go. That he brought even the UCDA.
Yes. I am not one who thinks that UCDA staying will be, wonderful for the farmers. No. Whether it stays, whether it goes, Museveni determines what happens. And he has already determined, even in the presence of UCDA, that this whole chain of processing, marketing, is now controlled by foreigners and his family. That is what has happened since the Ugandans liberated the processing and marketing after independence. It has folded back. That is exactly what has happened. And that is the most crucial thing that must be reversed. Not UCDA. Whether UCDA remains or not, the dynamics of how people benefit from coffee is already badly tilted against them. They are now again literally left with growing, which was introduced by the colonialists anyway. Growing, we were supposed to grow for them. And even now it is growing for them, not for the growers to benefit from the processing and marketing of what they grow. So
as we speak right now, they are not gaining from the processing and marketing?
No, largely not, because now the foreign farms, you see, they used to do so through their cooperative societies, through the cooperative unions, through the coffee marketing board. The whole chain they were linked to it. That was disrupted right from the 1960s. It is not Museveni who disrupted it entirely, except that Museveni quashed it. Rather than liberate it from government interference, he quashed it completely and now folded it. He brought back the foreign control in the whole process.
Oh.
Yes.
And yet he's the one saying that we are let's process this coffee so that it has more value when we are selling it.
Yes, but who is processing?
There is a processing plant in Ntungamo around there.
And who controls it? Who benefits from it? Is it the farmers? Absolutely not.
Said is one that is marketing headed.
No, so and it's not just coffee. Look at the milk. How are the cattle farmers benefiting from their milk? It's the processors and so on, whom is again the family that is benefiting from that, not the farmers.
So we have to ask who's the one doing the processing.
Yes,
of this
and it's
because it's the same issue with sugar canes.
And yes, absolutely. So the capture of the economy is between foreigners and his family interests.
Let's start from there.
That's what needs to be liberated, not UCD.
This is the Interface show. I am still with Dr. Kizza Besigye. We are still talking about the contentious coffee bill, but he's not even talking about the coffee itself. He's saying this is a grand problem that Ugandans are facing. It's not only about coffee, it's not about UCDA, but it's about someone who's trying to gain from
capture the wealth
of Uganda. Nduguse Ivan, you have a message. I'm going to be reading it after the break. Kim Kale, you're watching live. G-Star Eugene, you're in Rukonjiri, thank you. MCO Dramani, you're also watching. Habat Namanya, as well, you're watching. Thank you so much for watching. Kasquisha, you're also watching. Thank you so much. At just 3 minutes to the top of the hour, this is the Interface show. When we come back from the break, we start on that particular issue, but also we paint a picture of what are the solutions. The country continues to go down. What should Ugandans do in this particular scenario? And all of you are sending in some questions and comments. I'll be also forwarding them to Dr. Kizza Besigye. You're still watching Digitalk TV. This is the Interface. Let's break right about now.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
At first, we hit your gadgets with our state-of-the-art digitalized mobile studio with the debate on the road behind the wheels. Later, we launched our magnificent studios located on Plot 1A, Sewagude Close, Lukulinanganda, Machinde, Kampala, where we bring to you our must-watch shows like The Mighty Drive, Monday to Friday, 8 a.m., Hotline, Mondays, 7 p.m. As for legal matters, Twins at Bar, Tuesdays, 11 a.m., Wednesdays, 6 p.m. is Afro-Caribbean Link, where we connect Africa with the Caribbean. Voltage on Thursdays, 7 p.m., featuring a youthful panel. Interface with Dr. Kizza Besigye every Friday, 12 p.m. with his call to action against injustices. Snap Talk, Saturdays, 6 p.m. with the trio. A must-watch, The Political Dice, Sundays, 8 p.m. with the duo that never stammers, and so much more. Watch us live on all our social media platforms. We are the Alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.